Winona Fighter. And the pop bands too, yeah. Like the whole conglomerate. We're here, man. Whole rock and roll HQ, you know? We're honored because you guys are fucking awesome. Yeah, that the album was great, guys. Been rocking to it.
Wait, we can say fuck on here? Yes, we did to our. So yeah, it's first.
But really, really, really so that all of you guys came. Congratulations on the album, which comes out in February. And the tour also kicks out on Valentine's Day, bad time. Very 14th, More romantic than a Winona Fighter show.
Miss. That's your tour for Valentine's Day.
That's the secret to Thriller and Lasting Holidays, of course. That's rock and roll like romance. Yeah. Guys, but yeah, stoked to have you guys. Let me start with this. Chloe, maybe, Coco, maybe we can take it with you. I mean, the pop punk scene, the pop rock scene in Nashville, because you guys come from the Northeast, from Massachusetts, you do anyways. How has that been like? Because it's like a growing enterprise. I think it's a growing monster, lots of potential. And you're like heading it with another few bands. I think you're on the forefront of it.
Oh,
But was that like difficult? How was that transition coming into Nashville?
yeah. I moved here like 2015, and there was really no scene at all. There were like a couple venues, like one called the Family Wash, another Cafe Coco, where you could like kind of find little specks of punk, hardcore, pop punk. But
Feel at home in that one?
yeah. But I mean, all those venues are like don't exist anymore. Which is funny because the scene has grown so much. Like I would say 2020 is really when like the punk, emo, pop punk scene started to grow.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really how the band started. Was I was here and I missed home so much, that music scene, and I was like, well, if it's not happening, then I'll make it happen.
It's amazing.
And Dan and I had met through a Craigslist ad for another band. I was gonna play drums and he was playing guitar, and it just wasn't working out.
I think we looked at each other within the first like rehearsal. We're like, let's get at.
Yeah. Let's stick together, but it's your right situation. Yeah, you're a great drummer. And then Austin, how did you come to their orbit? Like,
Chloe and I met in LA in 2017. I was living out there and she was out there for like a year or so. And I was introduced to her by her sister.
okay.
I was playing bass for an artist out there, and Chloe's sister was this artist's personal assistant. And so we started talking, and she was telling me how great of a songwriter her sister is. I was like, oh, I'd love to meet her and we can write sometime. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And we met, and it was just kind of like a really cool friendship that we had built, and kind of started working together and like writing just kind of whatever we wanted to at the time. And it was definitely more like LA centric kind of pop vibes. And I really had no idea that you had this huge like punk and rock background. And then I was just like, I had this opportunity in Nashville and I'm gonna take it, and I'm moving. And you were like, oh, I went to Belmont for like a year or whatever, and I think I'm gonna move back. I'm like, okay, well, if you do, like, hit me up. And then I was like, I'll play bass for you guys too. So
Yeah, that sounds very certain. Yeah, absolutely.
he just showed up.
He just showed up.
We're like, all right.
Yeah, but it must be so cool for you guys, for Dan and Austin, also like to find like a female dynamo like this, right? And
Oh yeah,
I mean, like they're rare, like but in the history of rock, like female-led, like rock and roll ensembles, like those leave a mark, right?
absolutely, 1000%. And I've always been like in my bands, like in high school too, always were fronted by women, so it's like very natural for me. But then it's also spectacular when it's like the best front person of all time is in your band, So it just makes it easy, and like
I did my makeup today, so I'm not gonna cry, Dan.
don't cry. But it just makes it easy. I mean, it's like the hard work and the practice that we've all put into our instruments and the writing, all that stuff is done so that when we get on stage, it's like led by her, we can just go do our thing, and it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, what about you? When did you realize, like, hey, like, I'm gonna hitch my wagon into this, what she's fucking awesome?
Probably when we got married. No, but yeah, I mean, I think I always knew, well, actually from the first writing session we ever had, that you were a very talented singer and melody maker. And when we got to collaborate on kind of stuff that was more in your wheelhouse, I was like, wow, this is like undeniably fantastic.
Well, I mean, I'm surrounded by two guys who make my job easy. You know, like Dan and Austin are so skilled at what they do, and I think they've always been like incredibly skilled, and like Dan especially, getting to grow with him as like an artist and musicians. Like it's been so cool to be able to grow with these guys and be surrounded by their just like pure talent and skill, and also just like their love for being on stage. You know, you can be an awesome songwriter, an awesome musician, but you gotta like really love and feel comfortable up there, and like it's awesome like playing with two people who love the same exact thing that you love to do.
Totally. Yeah, the chemistry that you guys have, like just on stage, seeing clips from Riot Fest and everything is just uncanny. Pretty cool. Let me ask you guys about like the Winona Fighter HQ, because listening to the album, there's a sound to it, like in songs like Subaru or the Hams one, that it's just like, man, like I feel like that unique sound is where you guys record, where you guys live. So take us into like the headquarters, like the Winona Fighter here, Nashville, like room where these songs were made, like just the magic of it, because I think there was magic there.
Yeah, well, part of the earlier songs were made in this house that Chloe and I used to live in. We live in East Nashville. We've lived in two different places, and both of them have had home studios. And the first one was like a 10 by 10 room that was definitely not an ideal recording environment, right? It was just like a spare bedroom.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people start in that situation, in that place. I was lucky enough not to have a bed in that room, which I think is better than a lot of people. You know what I mean? People are literally recording a foot away from their bed. But I think that's a great place to start. And so, you know, we had some different challenges with that, where if you're recording drums in there, because we record live drums, it's if you record cymbals and drums at the same time, it's gonna sound all you're gonna hear is cymbals,
Right.
Because of how loud that is. And so we had to overcome that by recording the drums, the toms and the snare and the kick separate from the cymbals.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we recorded. And there's a couple bands that are notable for doing that. But it's kind of just a strategy to overcome like the room that you're in. But yeah, I would say that's kind of one thing about our sound that's maybe a little bit different, and that may evolve too. That's not a steadfast setting.
It makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah,
It does sound like you guys create a perfect Lego, if you will.
sure, yeah.
It makes sense.
And then guitars, yeah, I like a lot of times there's like a little kind of a guitar idea, and then we let Dan kind of go to town with it, and we record several different guitars, and then bass. I just lay down bass, and then we go and do vocals, and yeah, we just kind of piece it together, like you said, kind of like a Lego thing. It'd be nice at some point to try to record something, you know, all of us together. But I think, you know, the combination of us kind of going piece by piece has worked really great. And yeah, I don't know what it is.
We're just making it work. I think is what it is. We're kind of using what we have and trying not to spend a ton of money doing it, and just working off of our own resources. Like it's literally just the three of us in our home studio, and it's comfortable and it's easy, and yeah, you know, songs get brought to the table, but at the end of the day, like we always say, well, it's not a Winona Fighter song until Dan's guitars are on it, and Austin's bass and production, and you know, my drums and singing.
Yeah, I get it. You want to ask him?
No, I mean, I think just to give Austin his flowers too a little bit, like it, you know, he's like mixing everything and mastering everything, and again, it doesn't really matter almost in a way like what room it's in. Like he's gonna make it sound really good, so it's easy for us. I think since we're just so used to doing this, it's like, oh yeah, like it just makes sense that we're in like a, you know, like a 6x4 room or whatever, and of course we record drums there, you know, because the end result always sounds great when he's behind it. So
Well, like so many people are like, oh, like that's so cool that you guys are so DIY. You're doing it so DIY, and we're just like, there's no, yeah, well,
Like,
Hope you don't lose it like self-esteem, and you guys are gonna blow up, and like you guys are gonna have more resources. And I kind of hope you are somehow able to like keep that.
because yeah, it's just great as shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
well, it's funny. We signed to Rise Records last year, and I think a lot of people like think, oh, like that's a pretty big label. Like what's gonna happen. And literally, like, besides obviously like our amazing team that we got and the hard work that they like put in for us, like as far as how we do things, like literally nothing changed.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you just sounds really good so far. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you guys are in a really exciting period. And Coco, you mentioned that you got signed, and you can talk as much or as little as you want about this. But I wanted to bring, you've overcome stuff and it's kind of inspiring actually, like in research, the way that, life doesn't happen to you, happens for you, right? So since you're 9 years old and you can talk if you want about it, you've had a little bit of like a health struggle, right? Tell us a little bit about that and how you've been able to kind of like channel that, into this powerful.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease at like a super early age. But it took a while to get diagnosed, so it just kind of and luckily I am kind of a clean bill of health with that right now, in remission. But I think it definitely not only inspired like a lot of my songwriting, but it also like pushed me to keep playing drums. And like, I couldn't really like go out and do much, so I would like stay home, and I like taught myself guitar, and I wrote songs. And yeah, I guess I never really like thought of it as like a crutch, more as like oh, once I'm like through this,
Yeah.
it's gonna be awesome. And I think something it taught me is to not like take any of this for granted, because could get sick tomorrow. We could all get sick tomorrow. So I think there's something really, a lesson that came out of it that I didn't know at the time, but now as like a grown adult, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. And it, made me have tough skin, and it made me, kind of just be able to like overcome a lot of things, especially in the business that we're trying to do, because it's so fucking hard.
It is. I mean, and thanks for sharing that. It's a wonderful story. And I think one of the things that makes Winona Fighter so unique and so cool is there is like an egoless to it. There is like a community aspect to it. I mean, the ethos of the battery is like no bullshit, leave your ego at the door, right? Is that part of it then? Just like, the journey that you guys all three have come to this place, like it hasn't been, you guys weren't like child prodigies that's sick. You guys have like fought through like challenges and stuff. I know you're at this great place, but it's also like there's gratitude in it.
Oh, 1,000%. I think that something that's not lost on any of us is that a lot of the times when we're playing at festivals or even opening for some of these bands that we like grew up listening to, and they are complimentary of our playing or our songs, it's like, this is hard for me to believe. Like, it's so crazy to be in that situation. But then also I think too, it's like, that's just, I think who we are as people are just pretty like, no, like, put the praise on the other people. I don't want any of it. Like, put it on my bandmates. It's like, that's who we generally are. So I think that lends itself well to all facets, whether it be like writing or recording. It's just kind of a best idea wins scenario. It's not like, well, I'm the guitar player, so it has to be my guitar part that is on the verse. It's like, well, no, if Austin had a better part for it, then let's go with that. Great. We want the end product to be as best as possible. So I think it just kind of factors in across everything that we do, which has been, I think, one of the reasons why we've been able to do as well as we have.
Yeah. Austin, let me ask you about Sort of God That I'm Fine. And more than that, just kind of like one of the messages in it. I feel like all your songs have like really like deep, there's like something to think about, like profoundly. And this one, of course, it's, the fulfillment or lack of with your career where you are. How do you guys kind of like stay even keeled in this crazy industry full of highs and lows? And there's times that you're like, get nominated for shit, and other that are like, you're like playing to 10 people. Right. What is like your secret as a band to kind of those boring drives, just kind of like stay like,
Yeah, I don't know if we have a secret. I think it's just keeping in mind that, it's a cycle of wins and losses. You know what I mean? So there may be one night where it's like, wow, that did not go how we wanted it to go. But there's always the next night that could be a huge win. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of life in general. It ebbs and flows. Yeah. And so you just have to remember that with every valley, hopefully there's going to be an uphill to a something that is a success after that. So Yeah, I don't know. We bust each other's balls a lot. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. We're always just having fun, or at least trying to.
We really are, yeah.
And so that may have something to do with it. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think there were so many times that, like, in the earliest days, like when Chloe and I would be out, and there were, like, honestly, God, there's 2 people at one of these shows, and it was like, oh my God. So anytime that there's like 5 people, if there's 5 people, like, it's not 2. You know what I mean? It's like, this is better than that. So, but
I don't even know that guy.
But, like, I think we would be doing it anyway. It's like, if anybody showed up or if nobody showed up, if we were getting paid or we're not getting paid, like, we would all still be trying to do this. So we're having a good time hanging out with our best friends and get to just go around and play guitar. It's a pretty good gig, right? So just trying to keep that in perspective, I guess, a little bit is just something that I think about always.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, and we were talking off camera that, I covered the Rock and Roll Ball of Fame, and bands like Foreigner, we going back to this, your share, we think that they were always like up here, but like talking to them and stuff, they're like, when Cher released Believe in 98, she was 52, dropped by like 4 labels, she was like struggling to pay her bills. So yeah, it's like a long game, but you guys seem to like really kind of like know that, and being conscious of that alone puts you ahead of like 90% of it.
Taking the stairs,
Yeah.
not the elevator.
Is that a phrase?
Yeah. It's like, you see these kids who go viral on TikTok and they take the elevator up. And then it's like, maybe a year later, you're like, oh, what happened to that person? Whereas like,
Big muscles because they didn't take the stage.
yeah, it's like we're going for longevity and we're going for always being in front of people. And again, just for like the love of it. And yeah, of course, like, is this what we want to do for the rest of our lives? And do we want to be able to have our dream homes one day and XYZ? Of course. But at the end of the day, I think it really is just for the love of it. And yeah, we just have fun. We really do. And I think, we have fun and we're not putting up a front either. We're very what you see is what you get. And I think that's why a lot of people feel like they relate to us, is because we kind of just, we wear whatever and we, make little jokes on stage, and I trip and fall in front of 5,000 people and I have a little laugh about it. Yeah, it's funny because people will be like, it's so weird meeting you because on stage you're like, move motherfuckers, and then off stage you're just like a very nice person. And I was like, yeah, that's just kind of just how it is.
Amazing. Well, guys, you guys have been so good with your time. I think you're gonna play a song for us. Let me leave you with this. You mentioned on stage balling, but you played like major festivals. You've opened from the Offspring, Riot Fest earlier this year, and others that I'm forgetting right now. How has that experience been like? Kind of like graduated from bigger stages, getting complimented by your heroes, and just kind of like living that progression.
It's been cool. It's been a little scary because I feel like we are at the stage where, yes, we've graduated to these like really, really cool and big festivals, but we're the band that's on at like 2:00 in the afternoon, you know what I mean? Which we'll take. I'll pay her. Yeah. But it's like early at the festival. And so we go out and we sound check, and there's like 5 people, hanging out on the barricade, and we're like, all right, we'll see how it looks when we go back out there and actually play. So we sound check, and then we, whatever, go change, and then come back out like 40 minutes later, and there's like 4,000 people there, right? And we're like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. So it's like, yeah, initially you're like, we'll see how the turnout is. And then I feel like we're always very pleasantly surprised.
Honestly, Austin, I think every single festival looks at me as an organizer, it's like, wow, they really showed up. Like every time.
And I cry on stage at every single one. It's so hard not to. It's like, oh, like,
Just chanting, cry.
we're like, do it, bitch.
What makes you cry up?
I think the fact that I get to like share such a cool moment with 2 of the most important people in my life, and there's 5,000 people out there who are there because they love like what we're creating, and also I love to see like people moshing and stuff. It's like they feel comfortable enough to throw their bodies around And, you know, so and just the smiles on like people's faces is the coolest thing. And, you know, it's a lot of like pinch me, holy shit, like this is actually happening moments where I think a couple years ago it was like, is this gonna work?
Yeah.
And now it's like every moment is like oh, this is working.
So 2025 is gonna be a sadder year for you guys. There's a feeling in the air. So let's thank you guys for coming. Thank you for your time. So guys, you guys want to play a song with the honor?
This is Swear to God That I'm Fine.
Ready?
Can you hear me or not? I'm having second thoughts. I'm having dreams of traffic crossing roads and no one stops. I'm grateful, I swear. I'm lucky to be here, but hope I die before the pretty girls. God knows I can't compare. I swear. Swear to God that I'm fine. Maybe I could be better. Going out of my mind. Strap me into the stretcher. Why the fuck do I try? Going through all the motions at the end of the line. Swear to God that I'm fine. Swear to God that I'm. So please excuse me or not. I'm in the same spot. I'm spinning around in circles till my brain begins to rot. And I'm thankful, I swear, I'm lucky to be here, but hope I slip into the sofa, make my body disappear. Swear to God that I'm fine. Maybe I could feel better. Going out of my mind. Strap me into the stretcher. Why the fuck do I try? Going through all the motions at the end of the line. Swear to God that I'm fine. Swear to God that I'm. I don't wanna be prima donna. I don't wanna be. I don't wanna seem like the problem. I don't wanna. Swear to God that I'm fine. Maybe I could feel better. Going out of my mind. Strap me into the stretcher. Why the fuck do I try? Going through all the motions at the end of the line. Swear to God that I'm fine. Swear to God that I'm fine. 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 Fine.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe here for the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from J-Rod Concert Media.